We're here virtually in Idaho wine country, specifically near the Snake River Valley in southwest Idaho. Wine growers here take advantage of Snake River's high desert climate and fertile volcanic soil to produce some outstanding Merlots, Rieslings, and Syrahs. Water management here is vital to grape growing, but not in the way you may think. You see, when it comes to growing wine grapes, it's more about the timing of irrigation than the amount. Timing is everything, and irrigation management makes all the difference when trying to produce quality grapes.
With wine grapes, the golden method for irrigation scheduling is used to either stem water potential or leaf water potential. And so that's a very laborious exercise to collect that data. So it's not collected very often, or it's pretty costly to collect it very often. An easier way to do that, something that we could look at remotely and evaluate when to irrigate.
That's Bradley King, a research agricultural engineer at ARS's Northwest Irrigation Solutions Research Lab in Kimberly, Idaho. According to King, many new and old world wine grape producing regions are in climate zones that have a limited amount of available soil moisture during the growing season. That's not necessarily a bad thing for growing wine grapes, as they don't use nearly as much water as other crops. However, irrigation management is still important to maintain vine balance, induce beneficial changes in berry composition, and increase water productivity. Wine growers need to know when to irrigate and how much water to supply at specific times during the growing season. But how can wine growers determine when to irrigate their vines?
When plants are water stressed, the temperature of the leaves goes up because when transpiration goes down, the cooling of the leaf decreases. And so in response to solar radiation, then the leaf temperature goes up when they become water stressed. And so what we're doing is measuring the canopy temperature and then relating that to what's called reference temperatures. These reference temperatures account for different humidity levels and solar radiation levels and wind speed levels. It's kind of like that fuel gauge on your car. You got empty and you got full. This what we call a crop water stress index, which uses those reference temperatures. If it's really hot, then it's kind of empty. If it's cool, the reservoir's full. And so it's just kind of a gauge.
Most wine growers put their grapes through what's called deficit irrigation. That is, they give little water during certain growing periods to increase the sugar content and overall flavor intensity of the grapes. This method calls for precision irrigation, which in simple terms means knowing precisely when to water your vines and how much to achieve maximum results. The crop water stress index can be used by wine growers to determine when to deficit irrigate their vines. Now, vineyards can send workers out to visually test and inspect the grapes, leaves, and vines to determine when to irrigate and how much, but they may not be collecting the most accurate results. And doing this monitoring daily can be labor-intensive, even in a small vineyard. King and his colleagues developed a validated, automated model that uses artificial intelligence to remotely calculate the daily crop water stress index. To put their new tool to the test, King and his colleagues applied Internet of Things-based sensors to 2 small vineyards in southwestern Idaho over 4 growing seasons. These sensors monitored and collected real-time weather conditions, soil moisture, irrigation amount, and canopy temperature. Canopy comprises the vine, the leaves, and the grapes. At each site, the vineyard manager used the tool to make daily decisions on irrigation. One of the main pieces of data evaluated was the evapotranspiration rate, which is the rate at which water is lost from a surface through evaporation and transpiration.
We have been research done over the years that somewhere about a 70% evapotranspiration rate is about what you want for water stress. This crop water stress index, about 0.3, corresponds to that 70% evapotranspiration rate. And so we just have this setting out there and we're monitoring these canopy temperatures continuously in the vineyard and calculating that crop water stress index in real time. And so when your threshold level is, say, 0.3, then you know it's time to think about scheduling an irrigation. What we've done is use some of the manufacturer's equipment and put that into a web page that the producers could monitor, and so they could look at that web page whenever they wanted to. The crop water stress index was updated at 3 o'clock every afternoon, and so they could look at it either on their mobile phone or on their computer at home and see what the water stats of the plants were, and then make their irrigation decisions however they want to do it.
Over the 4-year study, each vineyard manager was able to maintain consistent scheduling for irrigation applications without the use of manual field monitoring, and they maintained this consistency despite yearly differences in climatic conditions. With this new tool, wine grape producers in the Northwest region now have an accurate, inexpensive decision support system to manage irrigation and optimize wine grape quality. King mentioned that this decision support system could benefit smaller vineyards because other technologies, like using satellites and remote sensing, are more suitable for monitoring large fields. It could also be used for other crops that can handle deficit irrigation, like malted barley and sugar beets.
Certainly would work on sugar beets because they can handle a little bit of water stress. That's the caveat with using canopy temperature, is that you have to have some level of water stress to get an elevation in canopy temperature and have a signal to work with. You got to get that canopy temperature to rise a little bit above what would be a well-watered condition. It's really most applicable for deficit irrigation management.
We're going to stay with the technology theme for one more episode. Coming up in our next episode, see how robots are helping wine breeders develop disease-resistant grapes.